Welcome to Canine Revolution Radio. Presented by Canine Revolution Dog Training, enhancing the dog and owner relationship through education, balance, and pack instinct.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We got Brad Baker with us today, Canine Revolution Radio. Good friend of ours, fellow entrepreneur, big time leader, realtor. So we're going to get into all that stuff. But before we do, a little bit of small talk we were having before we turned this on. So you're on intermittent fasting right now.
Yeah, so there's a guy in my church, shout out to Justin Riccio, and so he's like one of the top CrossFitters in the nation.
Yeah.
And so he's got a program called Broken Chains, like nutrition training, and so I've been doing that, and it's like really high level accountability. So we track everything, and so we're getting jacked up on some Jocko.
We got the Jocko going.
And so I had to make sure that this was approved. I think I'm good, though. We'll see if I get a text from Justin. Like, what the heck, man?
Let us know. Let us know what he says later, if he calls you out or not.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm doing intermittent fasting. So that's 8-hour eating window.
Yeah.
And then 16-hour fasted.
Nice.
So usually I'm going the whole morning, just drinking lots of water and black coffee.
Yeah.
And it's been great.
Yeah.
Good energy level throughout the day.
Yeah. And so you're allowed to have, what are you allowed to have in your fasting period? Water, black coffee?
That's it, like 0-calorie stuff.
Tea?
Yeah.
Is tea cool?
Yeah, tea.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep, and then 8-hour eating window, so trying to pack all the calories in.
Yeah. Do you have or does he have you doing it like at certain times? Because I think there's like protein rules, like you can't have X amount of protein or else your body doesn't digest it or anything like that.
Yeah, so it's really low carb.
Okay.
And so like if you eat a lot of sugars and carbs and then you try to go to a fast, it'll really screw you up. So it's really low carb, high protein, high fat.
Yeah.
Because if you try to do the high carb stuff with the fast, you're gonna feel like trash all the time.
Okay. And within that 8 hours, is it like every 2 hours you have to eat this, or is it just free for all for the 8 hours?
It's like, all right, so we have breakfast, then second breakfast, then lunch,
Yeah.
snack, dinner,
Yeah. But then you're just doing it within those 8 hours. You just kind of space it out inside.
Yeah, so I guess if you wanted to pound back a couple thousand calories in one go, you could do it. And then, but yeah, I recommend it. Anybody who's out there, if you have, if you're hitting that dip in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So especially for caffeine drinkers, you do that sort of thing. When you're doing your fast, you don't lose energy. Yeah. And so I used to around like 1:30 or 2 every day. I'd be like, man, I need a nap or something.
Yeah.
And that's gone away since doing it.
Nice. And your window's from, I think you said 11 until
11 to 7.
Yeah.
Or 12 to 8.
Okay.
Depending.
Kind of flexible.
Yep.
Good to go. And so your goal is, what is your goal with it? Fat loss, energy, getting shredded, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Honestly, the biggest thing was energy.
Okay.
Was just having that, even energy
Steady
throughout the day.
Yeah.
And that seemed like that right there solved the problem.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah. And when you're leading a team, if you're not feeling good, that's a big drain.
Yeah. That's where the Jockos come in.
Yep. Getting jacked.
Good to go, man. We are interviewing here in the near future a health and fitness expert, so we'll be talking more about that stuff, and might have to hit you up to talk to your guy too.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Because we're big into that kind of stuff, as far as with our team, with our families. I know you guys are too. Maintaining your health, staying healthy for longevity. I'm sitting here with a torn bicep recovery, and what I did was I probably did it improperly, but I went into a calorie deficit, with the goal of getting shredded, trimming some body fat, but I went too aggressive on the deficit too quickly. And then I overworked myself in the gym, because I like working out in the gym. So I kept my workouts like I was in a surplus, but my body was in a deficit. Recovery's not there. Plus training dogs every day, you're out hustling, you're outside, working, physical. Just wasn't listening to my body, and then the result is you lose your left arm for about 6-7 months. You know what I'm saying? So
wow.
Lesson learned the hard way. But
yeah, and it's interesting that you said that. You either rest or you're going to be forced to rest.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so that's actually something I've talked with my team about quite a bit, and something that I've had to learn the hard way too.
Yeah.
Where if you're trying to go do a big thing or you have a big goal, you like balance is like a buzzword this day, right? Like you got to have everything. You got to grow the business, have the family. Be grown financially. All that sort of stuff. But it's actually really hard to do.
Oh yeah.
Because you have to put a lot of energy and focus into achieving a goal, like growing a business or trying to get shredded. And so you have to pre-plan your rest. And if you don't do that, you're going to be forced to rest. Like in April, the first quarter of this year, I just went hard. I was working like a banshee.
Yeah.
And then April rolled around, and I just got sick for about 3 weeks.
Really?
And it took me forever to recover.
Holy cow.
And I don't know what it was. I went in and they tested me for COVID, and I was negative, so maybe it was like a flu or something. Yeah, but it took me about 3 or 4 weeks to get back on my feet, just because
your body was so worn out.
Yeah, I wasn't listening to my body.
Yeah.
I was working long hours, and probably my diet wasn't as good as it is now.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
Wasn't sleeping as much as I should.
Yeah.
And so your body just says, all right,
Yeah.
it's time to shut down so you can recover.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's crazy how that works. How much sleep do you usually get on a night? What are you shooting for?
7.5 hours.
7.5 hours.
Good.
Yeah, good to go. What's your daily routine like, or like your morning routine? Let's say you wake up. I don't know what time you wake up. What are you doing? Since we're talking about balance, and work and life, and you're an entrepreneur running a business, getting fit, got a family, growing family. You know what I'm saying? So, what's your routine like?
Yeah, I think if you talk to most people who are growing a business or going and doing something, they probably have a really good morning routine. And so I think my morning routine is probably the most important part of my day.
Yeah.
I get up at 5 every morning, and honestly, I love getting up.
Yeah.
Gabby's sleeping, the baby's sleeping.
Yep.
So we got a 3-year-old son, and once he's up, game over, right?
Everything breaks loose,
So I get up at 5, and Gabby doesn't get up until 6:45 or 7. So I spend that time, reading.
Yeah.
Just kind of being quiet, working out.
Yeah.
It's just a good time to think and, plan out your day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have actually a really structured morning. There's a great book I recommend called The Miracle Morning.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of that, by Hal Elrod.
Okay.
And he talks about something called the Lifesavers, which is the 6 things he recommends you do every morning. And so that's how I structure it. So Savers stands for silence. So I spend some time praying or just doing like a breathing exercise or something.
Yeah.
A is affirmations, so just kind of affirming the things you want in your life. V is visualization, so kind of envisioning your goals.
Yeah.
The E is exercise, so getting that heart rate going. So I go spend 40 or 50 minutes in the gym. R is for reading, and picking something up that's going to challenge you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll be sitting there reading in the morning, and I'll get an idea.
Yeah.
I'll be reading something. Oh man, I gotta go try that out.
Yeah.
And then S is for scribing, and I think that's because he couldn't think of another word for writing, and so he calls it scribing.
Yeah.
That's just a fancy word for writing. So just kind of like journaling or something like that.
Gotcha.
So I do that every morning.
Got the feather and the pen out.
Yeah, you got to pull it out and then get your ink.
Yeah, good to go. So what? So for your exercise, like you said, you're going to what do you like to do for your exercise routine usually? You get about 45 minutes in or so.
Yeah, 45 minutes. Usually I hit the treadmill. So I'm like the dogs, got to get on the treadmill.
Oh yeah.
Got to get burn that fat, and then I do some sort of strength exercises.
Yeah.
Push day, pull day, leg day.
Yeah.
Core.
And you just did a marathon or something recently, didn't you?
Yeah. I actually did 2 marathons.
Okay.
Same day. I did my first and my last.
Same day.
Same day.
Are you serious? Morning and evening? You did?
No.
How'd you do?
No, it was my first marathon and my last marathon. Same day, man.
I got you. Good to go. So that one pretty good for you?
Yeah, I recommend everybody do it at least once.
Yeah. And so I guess up to that point, your goal was training for that for the most part, and now you're kind of going from there to meet your current goal.
Yeah, man, I'm not built for distance.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Some people
Distance
are
running
good
sucks.
on them, but that's not me. I don't know. I don't think you're built for distance either. You're more like a power build.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Good to go. So all right. So morning routine is super important. What happens when the family wakes up?
So once the kid's up, game over.
Yeah.
So we take him into school, and so sometimes I take him in. Sometimes Gabby takes him in. That's my wife. And so actually we're expecting another baby here.
Yeah.
And so she'll be due, I think we just got January 5th. We just got the date.
Okay. Awesome,
so
man.
We're pumped, but
coming fast.
Yeah, but she's been really sick.
Oh, really? Morning sickness.
Yeah, so I'm pulling double duty
Yeah.
in the morning. She's usually getting him ready, but I'm doing that a lot now and taking him in.
Yeah.
And then it's off to the races.
Yeah. Definitely got to cover down on that situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you've got a couple little ones.
Yeah, I got two girls, and when we were going through the pregnancy stuff, definitely game changer. You know what I'm saying? And especially for your wife, hats off to the ladies out there having kids, because that is some serious stuff. You know what I'm saying? Your body's going through that change, And then once you have the kids, your family goes through the change, you know what I'm saying? Then you got to you're raising the kids. Hopefully you're doing things to help the kids be the best they can be, you know what I'm saying? But that is definitely a challenge. And, you know, I've talked to a lot of people that are parents and even my own parents, you know what I'm saying? And it's like everybody's trying to figure out what to do. No, there's no one way to do anything. You know, it's just let's take our values, our principles, our beliefs, and try to raise the kids the best of our ability, you know. But watching that baby grow in mommy's belly and then come out is just crazy. You know,
it is crazy. It's you know, I think about that a lot. It's just like the miracle of life. And so, Gabby's down and out, so she's not able to like do a lot of things she used to do, but she's like growing a freaking human.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. You got to keep her fed, you know. When she wants that midnight Wendy's burger, you got to go get it, you know. Is she craving anything?
Not yet. So actually, well, with that being said, we were watching TikTok the other night, and she was showing me these Korean corn dogs. You seen those?
Mm-mm.
They're like corn dogs, but they're like stuffed with cheese.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, they look good, but you know I'm on my diet now, so I can't do that. So I'll have her eat it. She'll tell me how it is, man.
Oh yeah. Good to go, man.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So so we're talking about my morning routine. So do you have a pretty structured morning routine that you kind of work through every day?
Yeah. For me, you know, a lot of things you said I usually do, but what I do, I get up at 3:40 just because I've slowly gotten to that time. You know what I'm saying? I started off getting up at 5. When Lauren was pregnant with our first child, you know, and then as the babies come, things start to happen earlier in the day, so I need more time. And like you said, that morning time is my time.
Right, that's the time you can find that extra white space.
Yeah. So then I moved to 4:30, then I moved to 4, now I'm at 3:40, and I don't want to go any earlier than 3:40. I never wanted to get up at 4 a.m. anyway, but it's the best for my routine, you know what I'm saying? But I get up, I basically let my dogs out to go to the bathroom, put them back up, and then I go to the gym. You know, that's kind of like my time. Driving to the gym takes me about 25 minutes. So that's like, you know, time for me to think, time for me to mentally, cognitively wake up, drinking a shake, you know, with some protein, carbs in it for the workout. Go to the gym for about hour and a half or so, you know. And also when I'm there, even with the degradation to my body with my bicep repair, I'm still going every day trying to get cardio in or doing what I can do that my physical therapist says is okay, you know. But that's time for me to think, but also prepare myself for the day mentally. And for me, it's just like a game changer because if there's a day where I don't get up and start actively moving, cognitively, I'm just not the same. You know, I'm much slower in the morning, you know what I'm saying? Yep. Harder to process things, harder to get the pistons firing. But if I get in and I get that workout, I feel good, you know, cognitively, I'm ready for the day. I also have those like thoughts pop into my head randomly when I'm working out. I'm like, ooh, I got to type that in my phone in a note real quick so I can think about it more later. Then I drive back to the house, I get my kids up, and then, you know, my wife, Lauren, she gets up, and then they go to the gym, and then I go, basically, I train my dogs, and I go to work myself, you know, so that's kind of my routine. It's worked for me, you know, for a while, and really just gets me going. If I break that routine, it's horrible. You know, I hate breaking my routine, you know, because the day is way different. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this. So you're getting up at 3:40.
Yep.
I haven't done that in a long time.
Sucks.
Yeah. Like that sucks. You wake up and there's a 3 on the clock. But like, how early are you going to bed to hit that schedule?
I usually get to bed. Well, it depends because a lot of times, you know, we put our kids to bed at like 7 p.m. I don't know what time you guys put BJ to bed.
Time.
Yeah. So like from 7 to 8. You know, or about 7:30 to 8:30 is like me and Lauren time because we don't get a lot of time to ourselves now that we have kids. You guys know how that is, you know, with BJ. But that's like our time. So like sometimes Lauren will be ready to go to bed at 8, and I'm like, good to go. I'll go to bed at 8, you know. But sometimes she wants to stay up and like spend more time together. So then I just stay up with her, and I usually cut it off at 9. I'm like, all right, I have to go to bed, you know. So I'm getting about 6.5, 7.5 hours just depending on the day, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, so that's kind of the sleep schedule that I get. So
well, I think I gotta like step the game up a little bit. We'll see if I work it back to that 4:30, the 4, the 3:40. I'll let you know. Yeah.
Well, for a while I struggled getting in. A lot of people do this. You know, you struggle because you want to hit snooze. And so what I did for me, and I don't know how your setup is like in your room, but I basically had to take my alarm, which is on my phone, away from my bed, so I have to get up to go to it. And that kind of motivated me because I don't want to wake up Lauren, so I have to get up very quickly, go shut it off, and then I'm up. I'm like, don't lay back down, get going.
That's a good habit. And they got these little alarm clocks now. I don't have one, but you can set it up like on your nightstand. It'll like roll off and start running around your room, and you gotta like go chase it down. But I tell you one habit that I do. I get out of the bed like the house is on fire.
Oh yeah.
Like I literally within a second I'm on my feet.
Me too.
And it's like.
If
you do that, then you're not laying back down.
Yeah, you
just have to start the momentum. It's like, all right, here we go.
And if it's like some people fall in the trap, I've fallen in the trap. I get up, shut off the alarm. I'm like, I'm gonna go sit on the couch for 2 seconds, just to get kind of woken up. Sit on the couch, you're back asleep. You wake up, you're like, oh my gosh, I just wasted my whole morning.
That's funny, man. I've definitely done that.
Yeah. And sometimes that's listening to your body. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's okay to do that because your body's telling you need more rest. You have to listen to it. And I've become more aware of that since this injury, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I just push through. And for me, it's like I have to get up immediately like a robot. Just get up out of bed, move, turn off the alarm, and don't sit back down. Don't lay back down. You stay on your feet, stay moving until your body is like registered that you're actually awake. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. And I don't know the science on this, and we don't have to chase this down the rabbit hole too much, but there's a really good podcast that it was done by Joe Rogan where he talks with like a sleep specialist. One of my favorite I've ever watched. Yeah. And he talks a lot about our sleep cycles and stuff. But basically what happens is you have like 90-minute sleep windows where you're going into like your deep sleep, your REM. Yeah. And then your last 2-hour window, your body's slowly waking itself up. So that way when your alarm goes off, you're just like, okay, I'm awake now. Yeah. I'm going to like start moving. Yeah. When you hit the snooze button, what you do is you're basically restarting a sleep cycle. Ugh. And then people they're a victim of their own sleep inertia. Yeah. Because they're like, I'm going back to sleep and then I'm gonna wake up in like 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah. Well, your body's actually starting to move back towards laying down and going back to sleep, and then you're trying to push forward. So snoozing. Honestly, I make fun of Gabby because she's an iPhone user, so go Android. But the freaking snooze button is bigger than the off button. Oh, yeah. It's like they're like big. Tempting you to just hit the snooze button. Oh, yeah. It's not good for anybody.
Well, my wife, Lauren, I'm not going to say it. Don't take this the wrong way if she's listening to it, but she loves sleeping until the last second, Then she stays in bed for a couple minutes, and that's her routine. That's fine. That works for her. For me, I gotta get up and go, and sometimes I'm like, come on, let's go. She's like, I'm going to wait till that last second, and that's okay if that works for you. But for routine type, that's her routine. Good to go. For me though, I just got to get up. I got to get moving. If I do something like that, I'm back into the slump and sleep inertia catches up and all that. You know? And if you do try to make the jump from like waking up at 6 a.m. to like 4 a.m., it's going to hurt for a while. But once you get into that habit, like 21-day habit, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty easy.
Right, you got to do it slowly and stick with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, enough about sleep and routines. Let's talk about what you got going on as far as business goes. So talk to us about what you're doing business-wise, real estate, your team, you're growing, what you're looking for. As far as the future goes to continue expansion, kind of talk to us about that stuff.
Yeah, so actually this month last year is when I started building the team. So I brought on my first employee, Heather. So that was June 2020. So that was an interesting time to start a team. Yeah.
Coronavirus, man, that's tough.
The real estate market took a big tank back in like March through April. Yeah. Charleston County, you couldn't even show properties for about a week because they made it non-essential.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then we had deals dropping like flies, and I don't know, it was kind of an uncertain time. So, fast forward a little bit, May, June, things started really picking back up again. I think there's a lot of confidence out there. People were realizing like, okay, like coronavirus isn't going to kill the real estate industry. Yeah. And honestly, we've seen like the biggest bull run in real estate market, I think, ever, double-digit appreciations. Yeah. So we've kind of been riding that wave. Mm-hmm. And so it was June last year I brought on Heather. She was kind of like my admin assistant, and she's a buyer agent right now. She's actually helping your brother buy a home. Yeah. She's crushing it. Mm-hmm. She's doing an amazing job. She sold 6 homes last month. So nice. Heather, if you're listening, you're crushing it. Yeah. And so from there, we just started building the team. We started bringing on some team members, hired a couple more, made 2 more hires before the end of the year, and then brought on another admin assistant. And so Kristen does that. She coordinates all of our files. So right now, between 5 agents, we've got 34 deals pending. Nice. So that's like 34 families, 34 homes. That's a big problem. Yeah. When you go sell a house, you create a whole host of issues. Mm-hmm. And so we have a dedicated team member just to stay on top of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I call her our chaos coordinator because that's literally what she does.
That's a good name for it.
And then recently we brought on another team member, Bree. She's like our marketing and listing director.
Okay.
And so what she's helping us do is grow our brand. She's taken over our social, taking over all of our marketing, all of our presentations, sales materials. Mm-hmm. She is doing a phenomenal job. I talked with your brother because I know you guys have like a system where, you guys are working on your social, your brand, and you guys have all sorts of ideas and cool stuff you do. So I picked his brain, and he pretty much helped me put the job description together. So that was solid.
He's the go-to guy. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, she's doing a great job.
Yeah. Well, that's tough, growing a team slowly, balancing out, and I don't know how it is for the real estate industry, but like, balancing out, your business's income. How can you support bringing on another team member, versus taxing the business too hard?
Right.
Like how did you balance that out? Like what were you looking at?
So I look at everything like when we bring on a new team member, we look at it as an investment.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna put in a lot of time, effort, and money and energy up front before you see a return on that. So I don't know if you experienced that. Like let's say you're bringing on a new dog trainer. There's a pretty big front end investment. I'm imagining.
Oh yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Like you got to get them on your systems, show them how you do it, and then. Is it something like that?
Yeah, we have to certify them ourselves, so it's about a 12-month long process, to get someone from nothing to certification for dog training. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, wow. So you guys do that all yourself, or do you guys like?
No, we do it all ourselves. Yeah, we do it all ourselves. So,
wow.
Yeah, super intense.
Okay, so you have a much more intensive training program than we do. Our training lasts anywhere from like 1 to 2 months.
Okay.
Our folks, you got to go get licensed, so you got to go pass the state and national exam, and
right.
And so you do a lot of schooling there, and then when they come in, we teach them our systems and how to actually operate in the business.
So they've had the state license before you bring them on. Is that one of your requirements?
Right,
generally?
right. So you have to be licensed to be a salesperson in South Carolina.
Okay.
And so it's not that hard actually. If any of you are out there thinking about doing it, it's only 90 hours of classes.
Yeah.
Which is not a whole heck of a lot
right.
of time in a classroom, and you're mostly learning the legalese, all the terms and stuff, and how to not get sued. That's the big thing you learn.
Oh yeah.
And so you get out, and you're like, all right, I got all this information. What do I do with it now? So that's when we take over. We actually show them how to be successful, how to build business, how to work with clients, how to look out for their clients, and how to actually be a realtor.
Right.
That's where most people fall on their face.
Yeah.
It's like for your business, actually for any business, everybody's got 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Right. You've got your given occupation. So for you, it's dog training. It's like actually going to meet with the clients, pick up the dogs. You're doing your regimen, showing them all the moves, getting that muscle memory.
Oh yeah. You're paying attention. You're
walking
paying
the
attention.
dogs. Yeah. So Chad actually trained my dog Titus, which he was. I thought he was a basket case.
Yeah. He's a good dog.
So anyhow, so you're operating in the business.
Yeah.
So that's job one. Doesn't matter if you're a dog trainer or a realtor, a doctor, a lawyer. Like if you're a doctor, you got no patience. Like how good of a doctor are you? Like you're serving nobody.
Yeah.
So the killer, the silent killer that most people get tripped up on, and why they fail in any business, is they forget job 2, which is building your book of business.
Right.
You gotta have clients.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that lesson the hard way. Before I got into real estate, I was actually a musician by trade. And so I went to school for music. I studied music and business admin. And when I got out, I opened like a small music teaching studio.
Really?
Yeah. And so I spent...
Down here, or where were you
down
at?
in Charleston.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the Baker Music Studio. You
nice.
I think we're online still.
Okay.
I don't know if I pulled it down. We're out there somewhere on the interwebs. And so I invested all this money into like gear, having the right cameras and stuff. I was trying to do like Zoom lessons. Or at the time it was Skype.
Yeah.
I had picked up Zoom last year.
Yeah.
And so I invested all this stuff into it. And what I didn't invest into is actually the marketing to pick up students and clients. And so I put all this money into it, and I had like 2 or 3 students. And I was like, crap, kind of screwed that one up.
Yeah.
So I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
Eventually I built that up. I got into real estate. I took that lesson and, put it forward.
Right.
But that's the one that'll kill you if you don't build business, if you don't have any clients.
Yeah.
If you don't have any dogs to train.
That's a struggle for any startup. You know what I'm saying? I remember whenever I started up my business, there was a long period of time where I had almost 0 clients. You know what I'm saying? I was basically trying to train dogs for free just to help get reputation out there, brand out there, and then eventually it kind of caught up to itself, and then and then you're also experimenting with advertising. You know, I talk to a lot of startup business owners nowadays about advertising, because I was just throwing money at everything I could advertising wise, and then you kind of figure out what works. I don't know if you did
That's
the
not a
same
bad
thing.
strategy.
Yeah,
like you kind of have to
Right.
throw out a lot of seeds and
So
like
much money,
and then
though,
you got to be paying attention to
Yeah.
what's actually working, and
Right.
then you exploit. You find something that works, just double down on it.
yeah. Did you do this kind of the same thing? You're pushing a lot of or you probably knew where to go to for advertising, or how did you kind of figure that out starting up?
I'll tell you what. So when I was doing the music stuff, after I learned that lesson, I started doing exactly what you did. I just started trying everything,
Mm-hmm.
and technology is huge these days. Like
Yeah.
if you're not online working those platforms, social, like Google.
Mm-hmm.
So I came across a platform called Thumbtack where you can bid on clients. So
Same thing.
do you have that?
I used to. I don't have it anymore.
Yeah. So that actually, I like 5x my business with that one app.
Yeah, that helped
and so
me grow.
I was like, hey, this is working. So I just like tripled down on that, 5x'd it.
Yeah.
Same thing for real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You cast a lot of seeds. We do a lot of social advertising, online stuff, sign calls, virtual flyers.
Yeah.
And so we kind of just see, okay, what works? What's going to bring in more buyers for our listings? What's going to bring in more clients?
Yeah.
And then when we find something that works, we just double down on it.
What are you finding that's working best for you right now? Is it like social media or Google or a combination of the both?
Combinations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then different like paid sources. But there's a great service, and I don't know if they have this for your industry yet, but they just released something called Google Local Services.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you can do, like if somebody types in dog trainer Somerville,
Mm-hmm.
if your business is verified, it's going to pop up Canine Revolution. It's going to have all of your reviews and stuff, and they can directly call from that advertisement source. So it's
Okay.
different than Google Business.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be a game changer.
Google Local Source, is that what you called it?
Google Local Services.
Local
so if you're a
Services,
small
okay.
business owner out there, you need to check that out.
Yeah.
Like get on that wave. It's a pretty recent thing.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, for us right now, it's like social media, because everybody's on social media, and then it's like Google. Google obviously is trying to dominate everything. So if you can be in with the Google, you can kind of work your way up to the top of the search bars. And what I try to do for what we do is like, if I'm someone looking for a service, or if I'm someone looking for something, how do I purchase that? What am I doing? What are you doing? Maybe you type it into Facebook, maybe you type it into Google. Everyone's going to type it into Google.
Right, and people
know
are
what I'm
reading
saying?
reviews.
Right,
Like
exactly.
our consumers are more educated than any consumer at any point in history, I think.
Yeah.
I heard a statistic. This is for real estate, but the client's done like 60 to 70% of the research that they're going to do before they even sit down and talk with a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I imagine they're probably doing a lot of research on you too, because
Yeah.
they're pulling you up. They want to see, okay, like what are they doing on social?
Yeah.
They want to see like what are some of the results.
Yeah.
So you guys do like a great job with like before and after videos. I really love that.
Yeah, it's that guy.
So Ben does a great job
Mm-hmm.
showing like how crazy this dog was before, and then bam, like 4 weeks later, that dog's like
Good to go.
good to go.
Yeah.
He's like tight on you. He's walking. He's
Yep.
listening.
Yep.
And so showing the clients that okay, here's the results of what we've been able to do.
Mm-hmm.
So clients are getting educated. They want to see that. They're looking you up on Google.
Yeah.
Yelp. Yelp's another one.
You still got people hitting up Yelp a lot for what you do, or
We're
what do
on
you-
Yelp.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's huge in our market, but there's other
Right.
markets where it is pretty big.
Yeah. I would think like restaurants, Yelp would probably be
It's
huge.
more than
or-
restaurants now.
Really?
Yeah. Pretty much any business service can be on Yelp.
I got you. We had Yelp at first, and it was like getting in some business, but now I think Yelp, for us at least, is pretty much very low key, if anything, But like what you said about the before and after, like I talked to some other business owners, like work out with them in the gym, and they're just starting up, and I'm like, dude, you got to get on that before and after. If you're like a painter, you got to get what it looks like before you painted it and what it looks like after you painted it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's going to be huge for. I don't think any industry you're in, fitness, painting, building something, real estate, lawn care. Before and after is going to be should be your go-to, to start off with at least.
Right, and you want to tell a story. You want to tell your client's story.
Yeah.
Like so, if you got Mary and Joe and they've got a big breed dog, and it's just terrorizing them, they can't take it out.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, you can show them like, hey, their lives are literally changed from this.
Yeah.
You tell that story, and then you get people out there raising their hand like, hey, that's me too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going through that right now.
Yeah.
And so if you can get people saying me too instead of so what.
Mm-hmm.
You put it out like, hey, we trained 12 dogs this month. That's amazing. People are
Yeah.
like, okay, so what?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah.
Or if we did the same thing, like, hey, we sold this amount of houses this month. It's like, okay, so what?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But you put a story out there like, hey, there was this family, they were in need. You know, the previous realtor couldn't sell it. Maybe they're getting behind on their payments, and we were able to sell it for $20,000 more than they thought they could get.
Yeah.
And now they're moving to that next chapter.
Yeah.
People are like, wow, okay.
Good to go.
Maybe I'm out there in the same situation.
Mm-hmm. Stand apart from your competitors, you know.
Right.
And for you, I mean, seriously, the real estate market is like saturated with realtors. Everybody's a realtor, you know.
Yeah. So it's interesting you say that. So I've actually been staying on the numbers.
Yeah.
And we've swelled from probably about 8,000 to 10,000 realtors in the Charleston metro market, that's a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But when you break it down, it's the numbers are pretty dismal for the real estate market for the person operating as a real estate agent. Because check this out, 30% of realtors last year didn't even sell a single home.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What are they doing then?
I don't know, man. They're part timers. Maybe they're
okay.
You know,
Yeah.
they're serving tables or something, or they got a full time job. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing because you got to pay thousands of dollars of fees just to keep your license up, and they didn't make a single dollar.
Wow.
So that sucks.
Yeah.
And then 60% sold less than 5 last year.
No way.
So that means if you sold over 5, you're in the top 2/3.
And your agents are doing that within a month.
Yeah, some of them
more than that.
Yeah,
in a
Heather
month,
sold
yeah.
6. So she's if she stops selling for the rest of the year, she's top 1/3 of realtors.
Gosh.
And
That's
so
crazy, dude.
That kind of comparison contrast, like the
Yeah.
production level that we do, the level of service we do versus
Yeah.
like the average people out there.
Yeah. And so I know whenever you first brought up, your business, you started off, you brought Heather on as admin, then she turned into an agent, and then eventually you got to the point where you brought on another admin. When did you make, and she's kind of your chaos coordinator, like you said.
Yep.
When did you make that decision to have a dedicated admin person? You know, why did you make that decision? How is it helping your team? Just think of another business owner out there. They're trying to grow. When did you make that decision? How is it critical for you?
Yeah, and I want to ask you a question after I answer that.
Yeah.
Because when you're building a business, this is something I've learned over the last year. You're basically trying to balance 2 things: creating problems and then solving problems.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so sometimes you can see in the future, like, okay, we're growing this. I'm going to need somebody to help me with this.
Right.
So you can kind of future cast and bring in that person.
Mm-hmm.
Other times you've kind of outgrown your bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to know that's happening when you're sometimes dropping the ball.
Yeah.
Or you're feeling really exhausted. And at that point, you're playing catch up and trying to bring in the help. So
Right.
I prefer to future cast and bring in the people before you need them, because then you have a little bit more margin to train them up.
Yeah.
You're not rushing, and then you can kind of expand your capacity. But what I wanted to ask you is, so you guys have been growing your team too, right?
Yep.
Give me an idea of the growth you guys experienced in like the last year or two.
Let's see. Last year we got Kevin certified, our number 3 trainer. So it was me and Chris up to that point. Well, so first I started off just me training, and then it got to the point, and you're talking about future casting and catching up. I was playing a lot of catch up, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm also balancing out, what can the business afford, as far as can we pay somebody to be on the team, or is that going to hurt us, from a revenue standpoint, thinking about taxes you got to pay, which most people underestimate, they're huge, versus your growth and your future casting, your forecasting, that kind of stuff. But, so then the first thing I did was, I was training. Then I brought Chris on, Chris, and he was training as well. And then we brought Ben on because we're like, all right, at that point I was making videos on my phone. And I think there's still a couple on the YouTube, like back in the day. And if you scroll all the way down.
Those are the most viewed ones.
So funny enough, I mean, in this day and age, you don't have to. I mean, you guys have an amazing setup with mics and then the beautiful camera, nice lens.
Yeah.
But so when I was getting started back in 2018, I would literally just sit in my car and I pull up my phone.
I remember those.
And
I was
did
watching
something
those.
called Charleston Real Estate Insider, and I would just talk.
Yeah.
I talk about something, the market, deals, inspections. I just talk. I'd pick something. I was like, I'm going to talk about this for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And the key was I did it live. So I couldn't, like a lot of people psych themselves out. Like, oh man, I screwed that up. I got to redo this. And then 10 takes later, they still haven't put it out there.
Right.
So like, just push out some content.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be professional. I mean, this is obviously amazing.
Yeah.
But when you're just starting, just push it out. People, like your biggest problem is people don't know you.
Right. All you need is a phone too. Literally, your phone will do it.
If you got
know
a
what I'm
phone
saying?
and an internet connection, like people can see you.
Good to
I
go.
will say one thing about the camera is like, even though we have like this big expensive camera right here, like most people don't care about your equipment. They just care about the content.
Yeah.
So
That's
like
right.
Chad is right. So like if I take a cell phone video,
We do a
and
lot on the phone still.
If like the video is good enough, or it's like more like if the video is just people are watching it, like they don't like the camera is not gonna matter. It's all about what you're shooting.
Right. If you have really good quality, like production, but nobody cares what you're talking about, or you're
Right.
not bringing any value there, I don't think people will watch that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, even the phones nowadays have really good quality, especially the iPhones. They got really good quality. You
Right.
know? Just picking on
Chad's
you.
Team Apple, by the way, if you can't tell.
I don't know, like 1080p. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's good.
Yeah. I mean, ever since they came out with smartphones, those cameras are still good, for pushing out content,
Right.
getting your message out there.
With Apple, I think you're paying like the extra $500, and it's like 2% better. So
Yeah.
like, I'm pretty pragmatic. That's why I got to do my Android. This is like a $300 phone.
Good to go.
It works.
Apple tricks its customer.
Yeah,
its customer
Apple has
client base
amazing
every
marketing.
year.
They're like, hey, you gotta, you're part of the club.
It's all about the
you're
brand, the
special.
following.
It's the same phone every year, just
Oh,
one
yeah.
thing tweaked.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
they
yeah.
charge you an extra $200.
Brilliant, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we could all learn
Absolutely.
something from Apple.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. But so anyhow, so you're trying to figure out how to grow it, and you're balancing revenue versus growth.
Yeah, so we brought on Ben for production just because, also as a business owner, you got to think about what are you spending your time on, kind of like you already talked about. So I was spending a lot of time like taking a phone video, putting it into iMovie so I could like put some music to it and push it out to YouTube, or Facebook, and that was just taking way too long, you know what I'm saying? So got Ben on board to do the production stuff, and then we started having assistants to help us bring more balance to what we're doing, but also improve our training where they can help us with dogs training, help us take care of them, all that kind of stuff, and then we brought on another trainer, Kevin, and then got him certified, and then we just kept adding assistants, and then this year, or last year actually, we started an admin assistant, but that person was doing two things. Number one, they were like helping to train dogs, but number two, they were also doing admin. Too much work for one person. So then this year we made the decision we have to separate that. We got to keep someone operationally assisting with dog training. Then we got to have someone that's strict admin. They can work from home. We can train them on all of our stuff. It take us maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And then that's all they do, and they focus on that. We achieved that this year, and it's just been huge, because like you already talked about, responding to customers very quickly. Like me, like I'm looking for services all the time myself. Like I'm looking for a land surveyor, calling people, leaving them voicemails. They
Good
don't
luck
call
with
me
that,
back.
by the way.
Yeah, they don't call you back.
Good luck.
They're too busy. You know what I'm saying?
And they're booked out like 4 weeks
Absolutely.
to
So
12 weeks.
and we had that problem. People would call us. It'd take us weeks to call them back. And whenever you have that admin person that's dedicated to responding very quickly to things, it makes a difference, helps your revenue. So we've just been growing with that
So
slowly.
let me ask you
know.
this: so with those assistants for your dog trainers,
Yeah.
have you found like before maybe your dog trainers were able to take on like 5-6 dogs at a time, but now they're able to do like 10 or 12? Or like, are they able to like leverage that or take on and train more dogs because of the assistants?
We could do that, but we don't. We still limit it to, a handful of dogs per trainer just because those dogs have to go out for distraction work, socialization work, all that kind of
gotcha.
stuff. And we don't do that with the assistants. The assistants pretty much stay on the property. Like if you were coming to drop off Titus, they're going to handle that drop off, so trainers can keep training and doing other things.
Gotcha.
Or, helping out with exercise, helping out with feeding, cleaning things. So that's kind of like what they do. You know what I'm saying?
So is that way your trainers are focusing on what they do best, but
Absolutely.
just training, not any of the other peripheral stuff?
Right. Training and then meeting with people, because
Yep.
that's the two things a dog trainer's doing is training a dog and training the owners, and the owners are, usually take more time than the dog does, you know what I'm saying?
And I think that's something that's important for like you as a leader or anybody who's a team leader is trying to get your people in the position where they're doing their highest value activity.
Right.
So you got your assistants in there so that your trainers are just doing what they should be doing and none of that extra stuff.
Yeah.
So they're just training the dogs, they're just meeting, they're doing consultations, that sort of stuff.
And then we got admin doing like contracts. So for like you guys too, you go out and meet with somebody, you got to send them paperwork. You probably have your admin assistant doing that. We have the same thing happening to alleviate that for our trainers to stay focused on their number one task, which is training that dog and training the owner. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I'll tell you one thing that I've learned growing a team is sometimes when you hand off stuff, like for the longest time I did all my paperwork and stuff, and I did all my own coordination. And when I handed that off to somebody, I was amazed that they did so much better of a job than
yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Because that's not my thing.
Right.
Like, I'm not super organized.
Right.
I mean, I have some spreadsheets. I have like my budgets and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like Kristen, she does such a better job. She does things in a way that I would have never even have thought to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just blown away. Like, wow,
Yeah.
this is incredible. And now I'm freed up to do what I'm best at.
Right.
Or when we brought on Bree and she's helping us redo our marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
She just goes and runs with it. And I'm like, wow, she comes back and brings stuff that I would have never thought of. And I'm
Right.
just like blown away.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like I released that, I just kind of gave up control. And then somebody does 5 times of a better job than I could ever do.
Right.
And that's kind of cool seeing that happen.
Yeah. Identifying your skill set, like
Yep.
your skill set yourself, running the business, being a leader, being a top realtor agent, your skill set may not be admin, hand that off to somebody else. And I talked to a mentor of mine a while back when I was growing business and they said, hire your weak points, what I'm
Right.
saying? So hire your weak points. And one of my weak points was just time. Don't have time to do everything, so I need people to help balance out all the time to make everything as best as possible. You know what I'm saying? So huge for any business owner out there trying to get better, trying to grow, building your team slowly, but, systematically, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
I got a question for you. So,
Yeah.
so how big is your team now?
let's see, we got about, I want to say off the top of my head, about 12 people
12.
trying to grow too. It's super hard to hire people. You know what I'm
It is
saying,
hard
right
to hire
now.
right now. I will say that. I think
Yeah.
everybody's experiencing that. What does your hiring process look like? Like when you're looking for people, what are you looking for? What's
Yes.
your criteria?
Depends on the position, but like production, which is what Ben does, or admin, or abnormal positions for us, so that would be just specific skill sets for those types of things. But for like our main things, which are trainer and training assistant, it's got to be someone that's disciplined. For me, it's huge to be early.
That's a pet peeve of mine too. I was interviewing a girl.
Did you need something?
I'm just looking at
He
you.
was looking at Ben there, and we were talking about owning it. She's like, I got to own it. I have a problem with being late. I'm like, oh no,
Oh yeah,
you're not going to make it, man.
yeah, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
So like if we have someone that's interested, we send them an online application. Just because when we first were hiring, it's like we try to set up an interview right out the gate, and then they wouldn't show up. So we'd be wasting time waiting around for an interview. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So now we send them an online application. If they fill that out, they've taken the time to fill it out. Now we can read their responses, and there's some questions that will trigger red flags, like, what are your weaknesses? Someone said, like, I have no weaknesses. I'm like, really? You can't self-identify that?
You're not a very self-aware individual.
Right, exactly. So that's a red flag, or one of the questions I put on there is like, what would you do if somebody took credit for your work? I keep doing my job, keep doing what I can do. Some people are like, I'd go tell my supervisor immediately. I'm like, you just let the person, it's not a huge deal, right? If you just keep doing working hard, doing the right thing, people will notice that, you know what I'm saying? So those types of things. And then if that application is looking good to go, we'll bring them in for an in-person interview where I'll kind of walk them through our setup, show them a couple dogs, because some people might be, a little bit nervous about working with big dogs. And I'm like, we are rehabilitating dogs for everything: aggression, insecurity, anxiety. You might have a cane corso that's 150 pounds trying to eat you. We still have to take that dog out to go potty. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you're scared of that, the dog's going to pick up on that. And I'm not saying you can't be nervous in that situation, because you might be, but like if you're terrified and you're locking up, that dog's going to run all over you. You know what I'm saying? So trying to figure out if that's going to be an issue at all. And then if everything looks good, we'll bring them on the team. They have a 2-week training period, then we go from there, but basically discipline, willing to work hard. We're outside for the most part. So if it's cold, guess what? We're taking dogs out. If it's hot, guess what? We're sweating. We're taking dogs out. If it's raining like yesterday, still got it. We're still
Get the
out with
poncho
the
on.
dogs. You know what I'm saying? So, so all those kind of things. Holidays, dogs got to go out. Weekends, dogs got to go out. So someone that's willing to go through that stuff, will be good for our team.
Yeah, wow, and that's something I never thought about, because I've seen your social media posts like on like Thanksgiving or something, and you got like your whole living room full of like dogs. I don't know if you're doing that anymore, but I've seen
we
those
still
pictures.
do it. We still pack them all in there, just to have a good time.
So how are you doing that? Do you like do your Thanksgiving? Do you still do it at that time, or do you like catch it up the week afterwards after you get those dogs out of there?
Yeah, so for like family and then like business, right now we're able to keep it somewhat separated, so like we'll have a business Thanksgiving that's not on Thanksgiving, so we'll have all the employees come over, bring all the dogs to wherever we're doing it, whether it be outside, we'll set up some tables, or inside, have all the dogs do their spots and stuff like that. Then family Thanksgiving will be something totally different, so but yeah, we kind of separated in that way. But we do try to get all the team together because we're all working different shifts too. Like, I don't know if you have like a morning meeting with all your people, like we can't have that, because we have an evening shift and a morning shift. Those people may never see each other because they're coming in at different times.
What we do to solve that, so our ultimately we want our agents out in the field doing what they do, meeting with clients, showing property, doing consultations. And so what we do is a Zoom huddle. So 8:45 every morning. We might move that up earlier, but right now it's 8:45. Cameras on, dressed for success, and like we got folks all over town.
Yeah.
And we're all connected in one place.
Yeah.
And so that's how we solve that problem.
Makes it good for you guys.
Yeah, and then it keeps that team culture together.
Absolutely.
Culture is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And building culture is a challenge too. We can talk about in a second.
That is huge. That's probably the most important thing to protect.
Absolutely.
On team, for sure.
That's something I was trying to figure out for a long time. How to build up that culture, because there's some people that might have bad attitudes. Some people that might come in and be bringing the team down because they're late. That kind of stuff, which we don't tolerate. But culture is huge, and trying to build that, develop that. And then you might have to let go of some people because they're impacting your culture.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's hard. It might be someone like you really like too.
Absolutely.
Like outside of work, hey,
Yeah.
I like you a lot, but it's not working out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is probably something too. Like, this is something I've heard you say a lot, like being a pack leader.
Mm-hmm.
Like you guys, that's something you guys have down pat. Like when you're leading a dog, like you're the pack leader.
Yeah.
They are, like they're not running the show, you are. And so I'm not sure if you've said this, but this is something I've said a lot to my team, is you can't get mad for anything that you tolerate.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Same thing with the dog too. Like if you're letting a dog run around crazy, you can't snap at him. It's like you never trained him. Like that's not okay.
Absolutely.
And so,
absolutely.
That's part of being a pack leader.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is super difficult. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, you're kind of like, especially in small business, probably with what you do, definitely what we do, we're spending a lot of time together as a team on a personal sense, but then we got our business sense as well. And so keeping that line very clear, like, hey, in the workplace, you got to be on your A game. You know what I'm saying? If you don't meet the standard, I've got to hold you accountable. That's my job, as pack leader. In the personal, we hang out, no problem. It's not, there's no, set standard like you got to be exactly like this or exactly like that, like there is in business. So being able to balance that out can be challenging, because a lot of people, I feel like, they'll be personally friends, and then whenever it comes to business, they let things slide or slack because of that personal side of the line. You know what I'm saying? So holding that line, holding your standard, very, very important.
Holding the line. That's a Jocko Willink phrase.
That's right.
Hold the line.
Good to go. All right, so we've been talking about business stuff, but what I really like to do, Brad, if you're cool with it, is you're also like a financial discipline coach.
Yeah, I don't have any certifications. All I have is my experience and what I learned from, I guess, the School of Hard Knocks and how to not do things.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could talk about that. That's something I'm pretty passionate about.
And you're also into Big Dave stuff, Dave Ramsey
Big
stuff,
Dave,
right?
we're his endorsed agent in Charleston.
Yeah.
And so I
the only one, right?
I think there may be another one.
Okay. What does it take to be an endorsed agent?
So you have to be in the business for 4 years minimum, and then you got to be in the top 2% of realtors in the market. So it's a referral program, and he's got a big trust brand. So if he's referring to somebody, he wants to know that they're a serious player,
right? Not
just some part-timer who wants to get some referrals.
Yeah. How was that application process for you? Was it pretty easy, or
no? I actually I tried to get part of that referral program for about 3 years, and just kept hitting brick wall after brick wall. So they have an application process online.
Yeah.
And so literally I submitted about 12 times, and like after about the 4th time, I just started updating it and said, hey man, I'm not going away. Just let me know when you guys are ready. I'm not going away. Here I am. Yeah. And so I'm actually part of a national coaching firm called Club Wealth. And my coach is out in Sacramento, California.
Okay.
And he had a connection with the Dave Ramsey people. And he's like, hey man, I can connect you up.
No
and
way.
that was the difference maker. Like I probably would have beat my head against the wall for another year or so.
Yeah.
But he just connected me up, and that was it.
Yeah.
He said, great, we'll have you.
Good to go.
So
nice.
And that just goes to show you it's about who you know.
Yeah,
those connections can open doors that you can't open yourself.
Absolutely. So finances, let's talk about some of like you're coaching people, you're helping people get on that journey to be debt free, you know, work on building up their financial discipline, financial stability. What are some considerations that somebody should be thinking about when it comes to finances? Let's talk about someone let's talk about someone like, let's just say they're coming out of high school, they're going into college, you know, so they're a blank slate, they're ready to take on the world. What would you say to that person, financially, considerations?
Yeah, so going into college, do not get into debt. Like, find a way to not get into student loans. And if you're going to go get some loans, go get a lucrative degree. Like, go get into engineering or like a STEM degree or something. Like, don't get some liberal arts degree and take on $80,000 in debt. That's not a smart move.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, when it comes to finances, it's 20% knowledge, it's 80% behavior. Like, if you have good financial habits, if you're consistently living on less than you earn, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly expanding your lifestyle and you're not expanding your income and you're just charging it on the Amex card, like, that's a pretty bad recipe there. But for like young folks, I think it's great to go get a college degree. You know, I would say people who actually go do that, they go finish a 4-year degree, you've accomplished something. You've actually put a plan together and you jump through the hoops. Even if you don't even go use your degree. I got a music performance degree. Like, I'm in real estate now. But here's the thing. So I learned the skills. I was disciplined enough to actually make it through that program, and I finished it. And so I think that's important. Number one, just finish it.
Yeah.
Like, just go do it. You become the person who finishes things.
Right.
So beyond that, there's also your given occupation. So you're going to go learn engineering or nursing or medicine or whatever, but don't go get into debt to do it.
Yeah.
There's ways to do it without getting tens of thousands of dollars of student loan debt.
Yeah. Did you have any student loan debt whenever you
No,
went
I
through,
did. So
how'd you do it?
So I lived in the financial aid office
Nice.
for a couple weeks.
Nice.
I was applying for all sorts of scholarships.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of academic scholarships. I took every music scholarship I could get. I went and lived off campus to keep my room and board down. And so I was able to get enough scholarships that when I got out, I didn't have any student loan debt.
Yeah.
And thank God, because I went and got a music performance degree.
Yeah.
Not a whole heck of a lot of money in that band. So, but that gave me the freedom because I didn't have that ball and chain, you know, walking around with me. I could go pivot and try to get into an industry like real estate and not be totally strapped and stressed out.
Right. And what were you doing in college? Were you still working to build income, or what were you doing?
Yeah, so I've kind of always had an entrepreneurial spirit, and my senior year that summer and then through college, I opened a lawn care business.
Okay.
Like it was called Green Wave Lawn Care.
Nice.
And so I'll have to show you a picture of my first flyer, man. It was literally just like some word clip art of like a lawnmower, and all it said is, that lawn ain't gonna cut itself, $35, and it had my name and my phone number. That's it.
Good to go.
And so I'd get on my longboard. I'd go right around like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Nobody's up. And I would stuff them in people's mailboxes, which I've since learned you can't do that. It's like not cool.
Yeah.
But people would call me. The phone started ringing. And so I just built a book of business doing that.
Nice.
And so I've kind of always had that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Even back then.
Yeah. So if someone's going to college, they're living in the financial aid office, trying to get as many scholarships as possible, you would recommend they do something on the side as well to try and keep that income, you know, more than what they're spending, because they're still going to have to buy food.
Yeah, listen, man, you're never as busy as you think you are. Those two, like,
right.
I'm so much busier now than I was in college.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel that way?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You went to a pretty disciplined college, though. I don't know how it was at Citadel.
I was goofing off a lot. So.
Okay, I goofed off a lot too, and I thought I was crazy busy. But looking back, I had a maid.
Yeah.
You know, start at my 8 o'clock class. You know, I thought that was like the earliest thing, going to like World Civ at
Ben
8.
just skipped his 8 o'clock
Yeah,
classes.
that's right. I just went there and I slept.
Yeah.
I'd say the work around that is just whenever you schedule your classes for the next semester, just never make an 8 a.m. class ever again. Yeah. I did have one 8 a.m. and I missed a lot of them.
Yeah. I slept through all my 8 a.m.s. But I'm a person who doesn't do well in like traditional learning settings. Mm-hmm. I go and like this is a dialogue. Like you're saying something, I'm listening, and I'm talking back to you.
Yeah.
But when it's like a lecture, you're just somebody's talking to you, and you're trying to tune in, and you know you're not actually communicating.
Right.
Most people are not communicating if they're lecturing.
Yeah.
So that just puts me right to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. That's why I got really bad grades in my first semester.
Yeah.
Good. That's what it is, you know.
But so big picture, go to school. Yeah. Definitely do that. become somebody who finishes things and then don't get in debt.
Yeah, absolutely. So going into college, work on side gigs or, working while you're in college so you can keep your income above your expenses, and then once you're done with college, what should that person be considering, to keep their financial discipline in check, financial habits in check?
Well, I'll say this, the number one habit for a person who wants to be financially successful is get a personal budget.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had a personal budget since February or March 2018, and I have a budget from every month since then. So I'm heading on 3.5 years now.
Yeah.
And that was in large part to go into the financial peace class. And so I actually took Gabby there. It was Valentine's Day 2018. Nice. So she was thrilled that was our date. Valentine's Day. Yeah. So I literally had to drag her into that class.
Yeah.
And by week 3, she was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." She hated it at first, but then after a while she got it. She's like, "Hey, we don't have to be stressed about money all the time." She's like, "That's a pretty cool thing." I was like, "Yeah, this is what I was trying to tell you."
Yeah.
But so every month since then we've done a personal budget, and now we do a P&L for the budget for our business.
Okay.
And if you're a business owner, you got to have a P&L.
Yep.
Because if you don't know what your numbers are, you could be getting crushed.
Oh yeah.
And you don't know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
So and that's what gives you confidence to actually make those decisions, either personally or in your business. If you have good numbers, you can make those decisions confidently.
Right. So.
Oh yeah, P&L. So that's profit and loss.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically, you put all of your revenue at the top, you put all your expenses, and then it gives you your net income or your loss. So let's say your expenses were greater than your income that month. It happens.
Right.
I think if you're in business long enough, you're going to have a loss.
Yeah, you're going to have some losses for sure.
Yeah. I've had those months, because maybe you're heavily investing and, whatever. But, you got to know what your numbers are.
Yeah.
Same thing if you're, I look at myself I'm a business.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're bringing into your business, what you're bringing into your home, and what are you sending out of your home.
Yep. And for a lot of businesses at first, I think you're going to be very close to a loss, if not in a loss. For me, it was the first 2 years I was in a loss, you know what I'm saying? But I was putting a lot of money into investing the business to make it grow, so that happens with a lot of businesses. And then you start to see that coin flip over, and then also
then you start building that momentum.
Yeah, you're starting to learn things, and you just go from there, you know what I'm saying? So good to go. So having a budget, personally, we're just talking about profit and loss in business, but it's the same thing in your personal life. You don't want to have a loss in your family's finances. You want to have a profit every month, every year. Like you said, you don't want to spend more than you're making, right?
Right. And so what you want to do, if you don't tell your money where to go, it's just going to get up and go. Because you're just not going to be paying attention.
People like spending money.
You're gonna spend all your money. What happened? You're going to get to the end of the month, and you're like, where did my money go?
Yeah.
So you want to tell every dollar where to go. So you start off budgeting your rent, your mortgage, and if you got any debt, you do that, and you got your 4 walls. You got to pay for your clothes and your food and your gas, and then ideally you want all of that to add up to less than what you're bringing in, and then you put that money away. You want to save it for a rainy day.
Yeah.
I tell people 3 to 6 months minimum.
So saving for a rainy day, what would that be? What would that look like? So they're saving 3 to 6 months worth of their expenses.
Yeah. So I call it your monthly nut.
Okay.
And so for an individual, if you're working for a company, you're a W-2 employee, that's just going to be your personal expenses. But for business owners, you want to take into consideration your business expenses as well. So for my monthly nut, it's all my personal expenses, my mortgage, our 4 walls, food, gas, utilities, and then also all of our business expenses. Because what you're planning for is, the perfect storm.
Yeah.
Let's say, you have a goose egg month and you just put a big 0 on the board. Well, you want to prep for that.
Oh, yeah.
Ideally, if you're working hard, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Or coronavirus hits.
Yeah, or something like the coronavirus hits. Yeah. That was a huge, for example, last year, both my business and my wife's business was hugely impacted by that. Gabby is in the event business. She's a wedding photographer. And so we spent a lot of time. It was August of 2019, August and September. We built out a lot of marketing systems and for her business, started getting online, putting presentations together. And it was August of 2019. She booked 10 weddings that month. And so through the rest of the year, she just started stacking them up. And so when spring rolled around 2020, she was ready to have a lights out freaking spring, man.
Yeah.
And so like from March to May, she had 12 or 13 weddings lined up. That's a pretty busy time for a wedding photographer because, you know, it's a whole day event on the weekend. Then you spend the weekdays editing, right, and then delivering and then consultations. And so literally she went from 12 to 13 that spring to 0.
Yeah.
Completely wiped out.
Everything stopped. Boom.
Yep. And so I was having a really good start to 2022. I was probably inking up 7 or 8 deals a month, January, February. March rolls around, rolling into April, I had a net negative 1 month, meaning I sold less than one house.
Wow.
Because my deals were dropping like flies. I had people who were freaking out. They thought the sky was falling, and they started canceling their contracts. And I was doing everything I can, like, guys, like, you know, let's move forward here.
Yeah.
But, you know, ultimately it's their decision. So we went from Gabby having a huge month to 0, and me having a lights out start of the year to negative 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which means I'm losing money.
Yeah. And because you had that rainy day fund set up, you know, 3 to 6 or whatever you have, you know, the buffer, you know, or basically you were able to cover down on what needed to be covered down.
Right. And we were building a home at that time too. So we had our emergency fund, we had our savings for the house. And so if you don't have that, like when the sky's falling, it's falling on you too, man.
Oh yeah.
But if you have that put aside when you know that day of reckoning comes, man, you can stand there and you're like, okay, I'm going to be okay. I can figure this out.
Not stressed out, not freaking out. Push that enables you as a business owner. How can we dynamically adjust to the situation? Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So you're actually going to be thinking clearer.
Right.
You're not going to go into that like fight or flight. Like I'm actually like in danger here. Like I'm okay. We've got this. Like,
and as a family, same thing. You know, it gives you more clarity. You can think.
And your family's counting on you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they're looking at you like, all right, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So in addition to having that rainy day fund, the P&L or the budget, so you got those two things in place, like you're going to experience like peace in your finances that most people don't experience. Let's say probably 95% of people don't experience that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact statistic is, but somewhere about 50 to 60% of Americans could not weather a $2,000 financial crisis, meaning if like your transmission goes out, it's $2,000. Most people couldn't afford that. They don't got the money for that.
Yeah. That's more than 2,000 usually, just so people,
it is.
Just so people know.
I've had to. I had
like 5 plus thousand.
Okay, but it's something that was like $2,000, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But I'm just saying, like, if your transmission goes, like, people
then
don't
you're
think
really
about
screwed.
that. That's what I'm saying. You know.
How do you? What are you like? Do you use an app to budget? Do you use the Dave Ramsey app? I know he has an app. I have. It
Yeah,
on
so
my
they have an app every dollar. There's another one, Mint. We've used that. So ours, like. For me, the more caveman-like the system is, the better it works for me.
Yeah.
You know, that's just how I roll.
Yeah.
So I just have a spreadsheet that I do. I copy and paste it every month and just fill in the numbers. And once you get going, you're paying a lot of the same stuff every month. You know, you got your mortgage payment. Okay, that doesn't change.
Right.
You know, if you got a car payment, okay, it's the same every month. You know, food, you know, you should be spending roughly the same amount. Like you kind of know what those numbers are. So it gets easier.
That 3 to 6 month buffer or the rainy day fund you're talking about, should people keep that in their operating account, like their checking account, or should they put that somewhere else? Like, what do you think?
So here's what I recommend. So what are the interest rates you get on like a checking or savings account, like 0.003%?
Yeah.
It's pretty dismal.
Yeah.
And so I keep it in a money market account.
Okay.
And so last year you were getting I was getting upwards of like 2% on that. I think I'm only getting like 0.5% now, but it still beats the heck out of like 0.003.
Right.
And that money's not there to make money, so that's just there for defense.
Right.
So that way, if you do have an expense, let's say you're growing money in your retirement account, like a 401k or an IRA.
Yeah.
Well, that money's growing. The last thing that you want to do is pull that money out and stop the growth and pay a bunch of taxes on it or something.
Right.
So that's why you have that fund there.
Yeah. Good to go. So those are the two main things people should be paying attention to: your monthly budget or P&L. And then having that fund set up. What if someone gets to the 6 month mark? I've got 6 months worth of my expenses saved. Now what do I do with all this extra money I have?
That's the fun part.
Right.
So now you want to put it to work.
Yeah. So what do people do at that point? They start investing it, or what do they do? You know, they got some extra money now. They've got their.
I'm trying to figure that out myself, man. So let me know when you figure it out. But yeah, so I mean, if you're out there and you're working for a company, if you got like a 401k match, double down on that. If you're out there a small business owner opening up if you're a sole proprietor going and opening like a solo 401k or an IRA.
Yeah.
So, getting in the market. But, the market's risky.
Yeah.
You start investing in stocks, like you're not guaranteed a return. You could lose money. So trying to find some investments where you're guaranteed to not lose money and then hopefully make some.
Yeah. Make your money work for you.
That's right.
As a business owner, you could invest some of that money back into your business, grow your business some.
That's the thing that I like to do. I think I get the best return investing in my business.
Yeah.
And I can control that. It's not up to the whim of the market.
Yeah. Good to go. So let's talk about somebody that is maybe, middle-aged, 30. Some people think that 30 is middle-aged. Let's say they're about 30 years old. They've got debt. They're trying to get off on the right foot. They're struggling. They're living month to month. They're barely making their bills with their paychecks. What do you recommend for this person?
So for that person who's just barely getting by, dude, oftentimes what they got is they don't got a debt problem. I mean, that's a problem. They got an income problem.
Okay.
You need to go make some extra money.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, it's easy. Go start driving Uber.
Yeah.
Or something. Go do DoorDash.
Yeah.
Or there's all sorts of delivery services. I got a buddy. He does what's the app where they deliver groceries?
No idea.
Anyhow, it's a system where they'll go to the store. You tell them what you want. They'll go pick it up for you, and they'll bring it to your door. So Gabby uses it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But he does that, and so he'll go pick up groceries, deliver them. He makes like $60,000 to $65,000 a year delivering groceries, man.
Yeah, good to go.
And
People want convenience these days.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he does that on his own terms.
Yeah.
He sets his own hours. But like, let's say you're working full time, you could go do that on the weekend or something, or go, Uber on the weekend.
Yeah.
And so you take that extra money, you start pounding that towards your debt.
Yeah.
You got to build up momentum, because if you're making the minimum payments, like the financial system is set up that if you make the minimum payments, you're just pretty much paying interest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so they want you making the minimum payments because they're just raking in the interest money. So the only way you're going to make a dent is starting to make those extra principal payments.
Right.
So you gotta get more income.
And also probably a good consideration would be like your habits. Are you eating out every day? Or are you cooking some stuff at home? So like, where can you trim your expenses in on your day-to-day spending too?
Right. So let's say you got like a coffee habit. Like I met Ben at the Starbucks the other week, and so I'll get he's got his Starbucks, and so like, how much does that drink? Like $4 or $5?
At least 5.
Okay, yeah. And so let's say you do that like every business day. That's $25 a week. That's $100 a month. That's $1,200 a year, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Holy cow!
I don't go to Starbucks that much. I'll go once a week.
Debatable.
Yeah,
I like making coffee at the
there's some like
house.
crazy like dedicated Starbucks fans out there. They go like twice a day.
Oh yeah.
And so
or fast food.
Yeah,
Just
fast
in
food, that's a
general.
killer. We love Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A's good.
Chick-fil-A, we got a Chick-fil-A problem.
Protein.
Yep, protein.
Chicken's protein.
That's protein, yeah.
We should probably go to Chick-fil-A after this.
Yeah, that's good. I'm getting hungry. Yeah, I got to break that fast, man. I'm getting hungry here.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so we found $1,200 there from Starbucks.
Yeah.
Okay, like what if you put that towards your debt?
Yeah.
Or what if you're debt-free and you started investing that and getting a decent return? You take 12%, even if you're getting 5% year over year, I mean, that's going to turn into like tens of thousands of dollars over the course of decades. And so you got to be patient. It's a long game.
Yeah.
I'm not a very patient individual.
I think most people today aren't. We all want it right now.
Right. We're like the microwave generation, man. It's like, I got to throw it in there for 5 minutes and then let's go.
Yeah. If Facebook takes longer than 5 seconds to load, you're done.
That's something that Chick-fil-A has. They got that going, though. They got like 2 lanes, and then you can like do your drive-through, like pre-order. So that's holy chicken, man. They're blessed.
We spent 45 minutes in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru a couple weeks ago.
No way.
Which one?
I swear.
That's a lie.
What?
Somerville.
No.
The one up here, Main Street?
Yeah, because there's so many people.
Something must have been broken.
It wasn't the system. There was so many people. They have like 3
They wrap it all the way around the building, and they're like going out the parking lot.
they're coming out the parking
lane
lot.
to get inside the parking lot, there was a line like going out onto the main
That's
road.
righteous
They have to
living,
block
man.
the entrance off
That's
the
holy
North Main
chicken.
because they've blocked North Main before. I've seen North Main backed up trying to get in there, so they blocked that entrance
I mean,
off,
we waited.
Dude, you know who I want to hire onto my team is Chick-fil-A employees.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
Oh, yeah.
if you're out there working at Chick-fil-A, you want to get real estate, come to the Baker team, man. We'll hook you up.
I offer.
Chad already did that.
Hey, Chick-fil-A, if you're listening, no hard feelings, but,
No hard feelings. Yeah, we're gonna support you. We're gonna
Absolutely.
cater, on our trainings. We're gonna pick up the
Absolutely.
chicken minis and.
I actually told my team, what was it, last week or the week before? I said, hey, we're gonna have to make a sacrifice. We're gonna all have to go through the Chick-fil-A drive-through, and find people that are you can tell that they're looking to change jobs, or even if they're not, if they're a motivator, just throw out there, hey, we're hiring, throw it out there, get them to contact us, So that's kind of our mission right now, trying to pull some people from other places,
Chick-fil-A, Publix, probably the most.
Publix
is good.
Just because of
Verizon
how
has some
hard
good
they
training,
work.
at least for sales training for my industry. That's a really good idea, man. Just you got to find those team players. They're
Absolutely.
out there, and
Hell
they, they're in those industries.
You got to entice them, you know what I'm saying? Got to bring them over. So
Yep.
good to go. Hard workers too.
Hard workers, team players.
Because you see those guys in Chick-fil-A, they're like standing in the heat, and those uniforms they got them in. I think they have to wear pants and stuff too, So they're just
and
standing there
everything's my pleasure.
Right. Yeah, the people that work for me that came from Chick-fil-A, they're still on the my pleasure path. I'm like, all right, you can slow down on that right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I actually worked at Chick-fil-A when I was in high school. And so
I got to
stuck
tell you
with my
something
pleasure
funny.
for a while.
So one of my best friends, Josh Bull, he used to manage Chick-fil-A's.
Really?
And so we were in the music program together. So he put himself through school. Basically, I think he was like an assistant manager at the one up here in Somerville. And I was looking for a job while I was in college. And he hooked me up with an interview. And like, I totally blew it. Like, I woke up like 20 minutes before I was supposed to show up. So I roll out of bed.
Gosh.
I'm all groggy, and I showed up to this freaking interview.
Yeah.
And I showed up as like the person who comes to my interviews now is like, no, dude, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
And so I had an interview with his boss, and so they told me that I wasn't a good fit for Chick-fil-A, man, because I just blew it, and I was not on my A game. So yeah, actually, I got turned down by Chick-fil-A.
Then that's when you learn don't hit the snooze button anymore.
That's when I learned it, man. Yeah, you got to learn those hard lessons somehow.
Absolutely.
I feel like I'd crush it at Chick-fil-A though. I could crush I think it's pretty hard to get a franchise.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
They got a pretty big waiting list, but I could crush that.
I crushed a couple of Chick-fil-A sandwiches at Chick-fil-A. You know what I'm saying? All right, back on the finances.
Yeah.
So what is a strategy for someone to get out of debt? Let's say they got a car payment, house payment, student loans, and probably a credit card. Those are probably the most common ones. Like strategically, what should they be doing to get out of that debt? You know?
So let's recap what we talked about. So got to get a budget. You got to know where your money's going. You got to try to up the income, because if you're making those minimum payments, it's going to take for freaking ever. So you want to speed up the process. And so what Dave teaches is a debt snowball. So you got to put everything down on paper, all of your debts, smallest to biggest. So let's say you got like a medical debt, a couple $100. You got a credit card that's a little bit bigger. Then you got maybe a personal loan, then a car loan, student loan. Okay, so you line up all those 5 things. And so you just go from smallest to biggest. So you start with the first thing. So let's say it's that medical debt, a couple $100. Your minimum payment's like $15. Okay, well, instead of paying $15, if you got an extra $100 to sock away at it, boom, make a $115 payment. All right, next month you got $85 left. You're going to pay that thing off. Now you had $115 you're paying on this, and then you move on to the next debt. Let's say it was that credit card, minimum payments $25. Well, we already had $115 we were putting towards it over here. Now we added that $25. Now we're paying what, $140 if I'm doing my math right. And so you just build momentum.
Yeah.
So you're making your minimum payments on the big things, and you're aggressively attacking those small things, and so you just build up momentum. Each time you pay something off, you take that payment and you move it forward to the next biggest item.
Right.
And that's how you do it. I got a guy joining my team. He's actually going to be up in Nashville.
Oh, nice.
So Dave does like these debt-free screams, and he paid off like $118,000 of debt in 18 months.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
That's insane. That's good.
It's amazing.
That's awesome.
And so I look at a guy like that. He's actually coming on the team. It's like, if you can put a game plan together to do that in that amount of time, like, you're going to figure out how to be successful in this business, because that takes a tremendous amount of planning, discipline is probably the biggest thing, and just sticking with it.
Absolutely. So once you get out of all that debt, then what is this person like looking for? Obviously, they probably want to invest some of that money, stuff like that, right? But like, let's say they get tempted to get back into that. Let's say they need to upgrade their car, or their car just cracked.
Patience.
Let's say their car is done, can't drive anymore. They need a car to transpo around. What do? Should they get a debt? Should they get a loan for a car? What do they do?
Okay, so in that instance there, that's like a revision of the truth. Like, they knew their car was going to be needing to be replaced. Like, they just weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, you're hitting like like right around 100,000 miles, you're running into all sorts of issues with cars. Typically, you got to replace different components of the car. Like it's coming, and so you didn't plan. So that's the actual issue. You didn't plan for that. Christmas comes the same time every year. You're gonna have to spend hundreds of dollars on gifts. Did you plan for that? It happens with astonishing regularity every year, guys.
So what I hear you saying is basically in your budget, you're planning for these factors.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right. So you got to plan for that. So yeah, you didn't have a problem with your car running down on you. You had a problem because you didn't plan. So what you can do is start a sinking fund. And let's say, I don't know what the average car payment is these days, but it's pretty high. It's like $560.
I was about to say around 500.
I think it's over 500. Yeah. So people are paying a lot on their cars. Well, what if you, instead of making that car payment, you just save that money every month? So let's say you save $500 every month. That's $6,000 over the course of a year. Over 2 years, that's $12,000. Well, you can go buy a pretty decent used car for $12,000, pay cash.
Yeah.
And you plan, ahead of time.
Right. And should they keep that money like in their operating account, or should they put that money like in a money market again?
So yeah, money market and then separate accounts. You want to try to keep everything labeled.
Okay.
That works for me.
Okay.
So like if we're going on vacation,
yeah,
we start the sinking fund. We know we want to try to do it. Let's say we want to go somewhere at the end of summer.
Yeah.
We start planning for that now. We have a vacation savings fund, because what you don't want to have happen is you go, and I've done this before. We took a vacation down to Savannah, and we threw it on the credit card. And then you get back, like you had a great time, but now you got a money problem when you get back.
Dude, I did that when I went to Denver, and I used my credit card for most of the trip. And I came back, and I was like, I should have just not gone on the trip, because it was not worth during the moment it was fun, but when I got home, it was so much stress from the financials side
right,
to where the rest of my time after the vacation was miserable.
Right, and then that's always like in the back of your head while you're there. Like when I was down in Savannah, I was like, oh man, we shouldn't be doing this. Like this is fun, but we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. So having a plan no matter what you're doing, going on vacation, buying a car, what about buying a house? Have a plan for that as much as possible. Are there any kinds of good debt to get into? From your perspective, or from like what you teach with the Dave stuff?
So yeah, I think buying a house. I'm a huge advocate of home ownership.
Yeah.
Because let's do the math. Let's say you're paying $1,500 a month in rent. That's actually a decent rent.
I was about to say that's a cheap rent.
I know people like at Elevate up here, they're paying like $2,000 a month for like a 2 or 3 bedroom. Okay, but we're gonna be conservative, $1,500 a month. So let's take that over a year, 12 months at $1,500 a month. Guys, that's $18,000. Okay, if we take that over 5 years, there's people who rent their whole lives. We're just going to take it over 5 years. That's $90,000. Wow. So let's say after 5 years you wise up and you're like, hey, I'm ready to buy a home now. You move out. Your landlord's going to be really nice and cut you a check back for all that money you spent, right? Heck freaking no. You're going to get your deposit back, maybe. Yeah. Probably not, because they're going to say that you dinged up the wall or something. You're not getting anything back. So
you didn't get your dog trained, your dog chewed the wall.
So for you, you got the dogs everywhere. It's like, your dog screwed this up. You're not getting your deposit back. So you're just left. You got nothing. You had some good memories maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so same deal. Let's say you buy a house, same payment, $1,500 a month. Well, there's only so much land in anywhere basically. So you buy a home, $300,000, $400,000, whatever. That home is going to appreciate year over year. Or even when home prices tanked in like 2008, if you were to go back to like 1900, year over year, real estate's appreciating like 3 or 4%. Like it's going to appreciate.
Right.
Every time you make your payment, you're paying on your principal balance.
Right.
And the cool thing too is that your payment's going to stay the same. So let's say you're renting a home, you got that $1,500 a month payment, like. It's probably going to be $1,600 next year.
Yeah.
And so let's say you're working a job, you get like a little raise. You're like, woohoo, I got a little raise there. That's a cost of living raise. Yeah. Well, guess what? Your rent's going to go up at the same rate. So you're just treading water.
Yeah.
What happens? You buy a home, you get a little raise, cost of living raise. Yep. Payment stays the same. You're like, woohoo, I made some money. And then you get a little bit more. Yeah. And so you start building some momentum there.
Right.
So your property is appreciating. That $300,000 home 5 years from now is $350,000, $360,000. You financed it. You're paying down that balance every month. So now you pay it down to $250,000. What's in the middle there? Let's say you go to sell it 5 years from now. It appreciated to $360,000. You're going to have your mortgage balance at $350,000. Well, what's in the middle there is what I call your land bank. So you could sell that, cash out your $100,000 of equity. So which deal do you want? Do you want the deal where you paid $1,500 a month, you get zero at the end, or you sell it and you get $100,000.
Definitely want the $100,000.
Pick the bigger number. It's a no-brainer. So that's why I'm a big advocate for homeownership.
Yeah.
And so I think people sense that when they meet with me. We work with a lot of first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
And they kind of pick up on that. We get them excited, and we show them the numbers, and they don't realize this is why you're treading water financially. It's like you're not getting ahead.
Would it be a good idea if someone gets that raise, now they got some extra cash, should they throw it at the principal for the loan they have? That's a good idea. Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah. Because then if you go to sell it, you make more money. Right. And then if you get rid of your house payment 100%, or if you pay it off early, I mean, now you got tons of extra cash, right? Laying around. Good
and that's kind of a low risk way to build some wealth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you got a mortgage and your interest is 4%, every time you make that mortgage payment, you're dropping it down, and now you're not paying that 4% interest on that principal balance.
Right.
What if there's someone who's listening to the podcast right now? They say, "Hey, I'm renting. I'm paying that $2,000, and it was a mistake. But I don't really have anywhere else to go. You know, I don't want to move again to another apartment. Blah blah blah. I want to buy. You're convincing me, but I'm not strapped with cash. I can't drop a big down payment on a home. How do I get there?"
Well, so there's all sorts of avenues towards homeownership. Like, so where we're sitting here in Nexton, Carnes, Cane Bay. As of right now, this is all USDA eligible, meaning you can go get a government-backed loan with 0 down, no PMI, and like you don't have to have a down payment. And you could do that with not a lot of cash and start building that wealth in real estate. For veterans out there, there's VA loans, 0 down, low interest rates, no PMI. There's first-time homebuyer conventional programs, 3% down, FHA 3.5% down. So it's not as far away as you think. And if you've been planning, if you've got that budget, you know, you start getting a game plan together. And we work with these folks all the time. Yeah. And they come into our office and somebody's told them no because maybe they maybe got a credit problem or they need to work on some savings. And we work with these people to a much greater degree than the typical realtor out there because they just don't have a clue. They don't understand financing and loan terms. And so we'll actually sit down with them and we'll walk with them for 6 months, help them get ready, and then help them take the next step.
Yeah.
I can back this up because just like I'm in the process of buying a home through your team also, and I was in the same boat. Like buying a home, I always thought was this huge deal. I would have to have a ton of money to even think about getting there, and obviously I'm still accumulating my money, making sure trying to get the budget right, everything. So Brad's right. Like. Start looking into it if you are curious. See maybe where you need to be in X amount of months. Start working towards that goal so you can not be paying those $2,000 rent every month, and not saving any money. You're not doing yourself any good.
Yeah, you definitely want to sit down with Brad and his team and talk to a professional about what are your options, what can you be doing, because just talking about finances and just talking about the numbers that Brad threw out there, I mean, $90,000 in 5 years is a lot of money. You could be doing a lot with that money to further yourself and your family and your business and whatever else you're doing for the future. You know what I'm saying? So that would be a huge step, right? To be getting in that direction, owning your own house or place or whatever you're owning, and then maybe you get a house and then you pay it off, and maybe you'd like to be a landlord for some apartments. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure Brad can help you out with that too. Now you're getting all those rents that's coming in, from people that aren't buying their own
mailbox
houses.
money. You open your mailbox, hey, that's cool. They're not asking for money; they're giving me money. That's awesome. Yeah, that's the dream, man.
Yeah, I mean that is an investment strategy. Once you have your money in check and you have financial discipline, you have extra cash flow. Now you can look at options like that, owning something that's giving you that passive income or doing other things for you, working for you versus you working for the money.
Yeah, so I actually have one rental property.
Do you?
So we're trying to grow that because I know real estate, and so that kind of works for me.
Right.
I feel confident in that area.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great.
How's that been for you? Like starting it. Talk us through that process.
I mean, so what we did, we kind of did like a little house hack. Mm-hmm. So we bought a little home over in North Charleston. Mm-hmm. And when we moved out, we put ourselves in a financial position where we could actually go buy our next home without selling ours.
Oh, this is your old house?
Yeah, it's my old house. It out. Yeah, so
the one that I came.
We did the consultation.
That one over there.
That one, yeah.
Okay.
So we still have that. We're renting it out.
Okay.
And so one of the advantages of doing it that way, if you go buy a home for the first time, you don't have to put a whole heck of a lot of money down. If you go buy a property as an investment property, you got to put 20% down. But let's say you go buy a single family home, you put 3% down, 5% down, your first time home buyer. It's not too much money. So you $300,000 home, or $9,000 to $15,000 down.
Yeah.
What you can do is you hold on to that. You just go buy another home. That home's going to be your next single family, so you can still do a low down payment, 5%. You hold on to that first home, and you just can rent it out. You can only do that once. It's called like a house hack.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what we did.
Yeah. Good to go. And are you managing everything yourself, or do you farm out your management? Yeah.
But yeah. If you're really busy, you can hire a management company. They'll do that for anywhere from like 8 to 10% monthly.
Okay.
And so, yeah, for a lot of people, the peace of mind of having somebody looking out for them, staying on the tenants, making sure they're paying on time.
Oh, yeah. Getting maintenance done, all that kind
maintenance.
of stuff.
Yeah, so for me, I have a big network of handymen and contractors.
Right.
I know how to put together a leasing agreement. So that's another thing a property management company can help with, is actually putting together the terms of the lease.
Yeah.
So I just manage all that myself, and we have an amazing tenant.
Yeah. If someone wants to get involved in this kind of stuff, can they kind of reach out to you and,
absolutely.
and get some of your contacts and, work through you to kind of get that going if they want to do that?
Yeah, we've helped several people become investors.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like owning a business. You start small. You might learn. You might actually have to lose some money in your first deal, but you got to take that next step.
Yeah.
Like you got to learn. Sometimes you work to learn. Sometimes you work to earn.
Yeah.
But you take that next step, start building some equity, start building some rentals, and then your portfolio can just grow over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's just our first rental of many. We'll be buying more.
Yeah, and with a lot of people today, coming into the area, coming into Charleston, they come in, they don't know what's going on, they don't know where they want to live at. Maybe they start renting at first. That could be beneficial for an investor who has a property, and if you have a property like you have, where you're the one managing it, or even if you had a company managing it for you, and someone comes in, maybe they're special criteria, they're like, hey, I've got a dog that these other properties won't allow me to bring in. Would you be open to that? They present you something material, you meet with them, you're like, you know what, these people seem pretty good, let me go ahead and allow that this time on my property. That could make a difference.
Yeah, pets are not bad.
Yeah,
pets can pay rent.
Or you can just, or you can just tell them, hey, if you get your dog trained, then you can come to my property.
Hey, we got to say, they got to get certified. They got to go to Canine Revolution, and then they can come rent here. Yeah, you can do that. It's all negotiable.
Yeah.
Right?
What about some other investment, and we talked about kind of IRAs and stuff like that. We talked about real estate investments. What else is out there that people could look into to put their money to work for them?
Well, just being completely forthright. So I started my investment journey last year. So that was kind of an interesting time to start it. And the reason we did that is because we got debt free first. Mm-hmm. Then we beefed up our savings. So we got to 6 month savings.
Yep.
And that's exactly what Dave teaches. Mm-hmm. And then you start investing. Mm-hmm. So, time will tell.
Yeah.
Investing is, something you got to do it for the long haul. But so we're investing in real estate with a rental, mm-hmm. and then we have a couple of retirement accounts, and trying to make some good picks there.
Good to go, and that can be a challenge too. Do you have an advisor that you use to help with your retirement investing? As far as
I don't.
No, you do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I do it.
Yeah.
I know a couple of my buddies. They have one of Dave Ramsey's investing coaches too that they go meet with, and they kind of manage their IRAs and stuff like that. But
so I'm actually. It's interesting that you're bringing this up. So I'm actually in the process of reading a book by Tony Robbins called Money, Master the Game. Mm-hmm. And so he actually talks about this in his book. He talks about basically money managers, people who are doing like hedge funds or mm-hmm. mutual funds. They mm-hmm. take a bunch of different stocks and they try to pull them together and try to beat the market. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that the typical mutual fund does not beat the market. So if you were to buy something called an index fund, which basically just tracks the market, so you got like the Dow Jones, which is like the top 500 companies, mm-hmm. only 4% of mutual funds actually beat the market over any substantial length of period of time.
Yeah.
Like 10, 15 plus years.
Yeah.
And that was like really shocking to me mm-hmm. that, you got people out there who are like, quote unquote, professionals, and they only beat the market 4% of the time. Like, that's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, you want more return on your money.
Yeah, so apparently just buying like a good index fund that tracks the market is the way to go.
Is that what you're? So what are you doing? If you don't.
No,
mind
I just
talking
learned that, so I'm about to
yeah.
go implement it.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, you got to implement fast.
For me, I started looking into like dividends. Dividend growth through individual stocks or ETFs or stuff like that. I know mutual funds can have fees and stuff like that.
They do. Yeah. You got to, and the fees can kill you sometimes.
Yep. So definitely got to do your research.
And index funds are typically low fee to own them.
Okay. Good to go.
Does Dave have an open take on the new investing crypto?
Yeah. So
what's he saying about that?
Take on that?
So he says he had a Facebook post and he was like, dude, like don't sink all your money into crypto. And it's so volatile, and you're literally taking. Okay, so there's like a tremendous upside, but you have literally a bottomless risk.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it drops 30%, you just drop 30%.
And Bitcoin did the past 2 weeks.
Right, it went from like 60,000 down to like 30 something. I don't know where it's at now, or if you got into Dogecoin.
Oh yeah.
That tank's it's already over.
And here's the thing. So I like to play around with that, but I don't have the bulk of my investment in like those coins because they're not stable, and then there's no guarantee. Like you could lose your principal. Like if you sink $10,000 in there and it loses 30%, like you just lost $3,000. Like most people don't have the fortitude to like watch their money just evaporate that. They're gonna freak out.
Sell it. Now they're
gonna sell. Oh, and then they're like, it goes back up. Like crap, I should have sold. And so for me personally, it's like I don't want to ride that emotional roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm busy building a team and working hard. Yeah. And if I'm freaking out about my finances, because like, oh my gosh, Bitcoin just lost 30%, 40%.
Yeah.
How effective are you going to be?
Yeah.
That's probably not good. See, there's also an emotional aspect to it too.
Mm-hmm. So you got to be balanced in everything you're doing. With
your
your investments, balance it out.
I'd say like I wouldn't put any more than like 5% of your money in something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's fun. It's like going to Vegas and hitting the slots. Like you might hit it big or you might not.
Yeah.
But you don't want to put all your money on that.
What about other considerations for finances? Should people be thinking about their kids' future schooling, buying their kid a car? Like obviously that's going to be a parental decision, but what are your takes on that? Considerations for, you've got your debt taken care of. You've got your house. You're owning your own house. You're paying that off systematically. You're paying off the principal more if you can. You got your budget, right? You got your 6 month worth of savings. Now what? Now what are you looking at?
Yeah, so there's actually tax preferred accounts, and we'd have to look it up. I don't know, Ben, if you can. It's like you can put up to like $2,000 a year, and it's tax deferred. So it means if you put the money there, you could deduct that from your taxes, and you can actually put it in like a mutual fund or index fund or something, and grow that money. And that way, it's sitting there when your kids are going to go to college. So there's actually smart ways to do that. And there's literally, it's almost like a retirement plan, but for like education.
Yeah.
And so we haven't opened anything like that for our son BJ.
Yeah.
He's 3, so this is probably the time to start doing that. You want to start early.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with college by the time he goes?
Right.
Like, is it going to be free? Are people still going to be going to college?
It's all going to be on Zoom.
Zoom college,
it's not going to be in-person college.
Yeah.
I learned from just my friends, because I do have some friends who are doing the schooling thing still, like in college, and they say that, just the classroom setting is so much better to learn, I feel like, when Zoom, because at Zoom you can be at your house and like not be paying attention, or you don't have that extra, the professor's not there to help you or whatever it is, So there is a certain limitation. And I've done like online classes before, like during the summertime, like when I was at Trident, and I just like did not do well in those classes, just because like if you don't understand the curriculum, no one's going to be there to actually help you unless you like go out of your way to talk to the professor to try and like understand it better, which most people like me, college student, don't really care.
Yeah. Well, times are changing too. A lot of the technology, like from whenever when you went to school and I went to school and Brad went to school, technology has come a long way. It's going to only continue to increase. So like when BJ, who's 3 right now, when he's 18 going to college, there's going to be a huge change.
Yeah, robots are going to be teaching classes.
Yeah, absolutely,
Who knows, man?
We'll see what happens, But be prepared for the future, you know what I'm saying? Set up yourself for financial success, your family. And then also I think like teaching this stuff to your kids.
Once you get legacy.
Right, once you get it down pat yourself, you figure it out for yourself, getting your kids on the right track. And then, just maintain that discipline, because there are going to be times where you're tempted to just spend your money. But
and your kids are watching you.
Absolutely. Everything you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, BJ's old enough now, so we got to watch what we're saying.
Saying a couple of colorful things
we're
around
starting
the house.
we're starting to spell out the colorful stuff, or if we're gonna get ice cream, it's like ICECRE. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's incredible with the kids too. What are we looking like on time? 11:30. All right, so we'll start wrapping this thing up. But real quick, raising kids, they're watching you all the time, right? What are you thinking? What are you and Gabby planning on with your kids? What are you thinking about school? Just getting them into elementary school, middle school. What are y'all thinking in those regards? Swimming lessons, what are the things you guys are thinking about?
Yeah. So our son BJ, he is he's not built for speed for sure. So I'm thinking maybe wrestling or baseball. He's gonna be stocky.
Yeah.
He's gonna be built like a fire plug, I think. So
Nice.
yeah, we're thinking about that. We talk about that.
Yeah.
What do we think he's gonna be good at?
Yeah.
And then it's funny as they grow up, their personalities just come out, and you're trying to figure out what they're good at, and he'll blow me away. Like I remember one time he was 2 years old and he used the word octagon.
What?
I was like, where the frick did you learn that word from? But they're just like little sponges.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too. I think for people our age, I feel like they're parenthood is on decline. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's more and more people who are focusing on their career, or they're putting off family, or they're saying, hey, it's gonna happen eventually, and I'm just putting that off. Honestly, I think becoming a dad was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah. Teaches you
hands down, that experience. And we adopted our first son, and so Gabby's expecting now, so we're gonna she's gonna give birth to our second child here later in the wintertime. But going through that, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't fun. We weren't happy all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And it was a lot of sacrifice, and a lot of it sucked.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, the rewards, I not only did I help. We've been able to pour into BJ and just watch him grow, but I've grown so much, stepping up as the man of the house,
right.
Sacrificing and kind of realizing listen, your life's not about you. It's about giving back to your family and giving back to your community and giving back to your team. And I think people are missing out on that by saying, hey, I'm just not going to be a parent.
Well, being a parent's hard, man, because, let's say, you're working, you come home, baby, BJ could be losing his mind. Mama's done with it. She's like,
right, and you got to be there,
cooking dinner. All this different stuff has to happen. You gotta bring in the calmness. You can't come in rolling in hot. You're like, all right, let's calm down, assess what's going on, and then make decisions. Or obviously he's tired. Maybe he needs to go to bed earlier. Whatever. But going through that develops you. As a person, also can feed into your business too, because if you can develop those habits to be calmer in those types of situations and work through that, and then maybe you and the wife have a debrief later. All right, me and Lauren have done this a lot. I did this wrong. I know I did it wrong in the moment, but here's what we should be doing in the future in that situation.
And I think this is something that you're really good at. This skill, equanimity, which is peace under pressure. You're just cool.
The dogs teach you that.
But yeah, you got to be that with the dogs, right? Because they'll sniff you out. They can smell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's huge.
Definitely a learned skill set, but as a parent, it's critical. And I feel like what you said, nowadays, being a parent is changing from what it used to be. But I think parents have got to have that mindset, consciousness. What's going on? What do I need to do to help us get through the situation without everybody just blowing their caps and just losing it, you know what I'm saying? Because that happens, How many times have you been in the grocery store or the restaurant and you see that family with the kid that's losing it and you're like, man, I've been there. I know what's going on. Super difficult situation to be in. But people without kids will judge that hardcore. Only if you've been through it do you know, okay, they're going through it.
Right, and you kind of be you can sympathize with them.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, I've been there.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely a challenge, but a fun challenge, and very exciting time and getting through that and developing them as children. But also as a parent, you're realizing, you can't control them. So they're gonna flourish.
They're little people. They're gonna do what they want.
Right, exactly. And then they're gonna develop their own skill set. Maybe not what you wanted them to be, but that's who they are. You know what I'm saying? And you just help them be as successful as possible. So pretty exciting stuff. But before we wrap it up here, Brad, you got any books or podcasts that we should be reading or listening to? What do you think?
So I mentioned this one at the beginning. So the Miracle Morning, Hal Elrod. Great book for those who want to get their morning routines together, or maybe you just want to start getting up earlier and you want to figure that out. Great book. Money Master the Game. That's one I'm reading right now for investments. That's by Tony Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
You know, honestly, maybe what I can do is shoot you over a list of stuff that I've read.
Yeah,
you know, you're putting me on the spot a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Didn't prep you.
I didn't prep that list.
What about podcasts? You got any podcasts you listen to?
I really enjoy, there's a guy, Jordan Peterson. You guys heard of him?
Yep.
He's like a Canadian psychologist. He was a clinical psychologist, and then he kind of got thrown into the limelight.
Yeah.
He does a lot of speaking now. He's written a couple books, but he has a great podcast that I really enjoy. I really enjoyed Joe Rogan too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's hilarious, dude. He's always got interesting people on. So really I think those are the two that I tune into most.
Yeah, Joe has really, really good conversations with just such a wide variety of people.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
it's
saying?
incredible.
It's like 5 hours long, and you're just sucked in the whole time.
I'm like, it's like, where did the time go?
Absolutely. So good to go, man. Awesome.
I don't think we explicitly called Brad's company out.
Yeah, so Brad, how do people get a...
Yeah, plug yourself.
Yeah, plug yourself.
If someone's looking to buy a home in the Charleston area or looking to move here to buy, go ahead and spill it out.
Yeah, so you can get in touch with us. We have a website, homestorecharleston.com. You can get on there, look at houses. We're on social media, so facebook.com/Charleston Real Estate Insider. We have a relocation page on Facebook called Move to Charleston. We're on Google.
That thing's pretty on fire too.
Yeah, we get about 20 to 40 plus people who join that every week.
Yeah.
People who are raising their hand and say, "Hey, I'm moving to Charleston."
How do you reach out and get people into that group?
They find us.
They find you, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how we set it up.
Yeah. Good.
So anybody's relocating, they can hop on there.
Yeah.
And then we got all sorts of resources. We got first-time home buyer programs. If you're looking to sell, we have, I think, one of the best marketing programs in Charleston, so we can sit down, show you how much money you can put in your pocket and help you with that relocation or, the move or whatever that next step is, before you make that big decision, especially if you're buying a home, before you're going to go lock in like a 30-year mortgage, like sit down with a realtor, get a game plan together, take 30 minutes, make sure you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We're really big on education. So I'm team lead, and I've got a team of amazing buyer agents. So, if you guys are looking to do something, reach out to me. They can plug with my email and phone number and stuff and get you in touch.
Good to go. All right. Well, we appreciate all the listeners out there supporting what we do.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Honored to have you on, Brad. Thanks for meeting with us. Thanks for taking some time out of your super busy schedule to sit down with us for a little bit. If you guys have any comments or questions for Brad, please leave them in the link on this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, leave it in the comments. We'll reach out, maybe do a Q&A. If we have a lot of questions, we'll do a Q&A with Brad. That way he can answer them for you. But otherwise, thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. If you guys need dog training, hit us up. Or if you're interested in CWP stuff or defensive courses, hit us up for that as well. All right. But until next time, you guys have a good one. And thanks again, Brad.
Thanks, Chad.
Good to go.